Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica. I'm using my big camera, so if I'm looking off to the side, it's my monitor. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and clicking on this link to watch today's video. I know this has been a long anticipated video because I haven't filmed something military related in a long time, but here we are. Real quick, I've been absent because obviously, if you guys don't know, I'm going to school right now and we had finals for our first quarter. It's over. I just started my new quarter right now. So this quarter is going to go a little bit longer, but they're harder classes. So I've been very busy and I'm just trying to keep up good grades. If I do seem a little bit winded or quiet or anything like that, that is just because I am getting over being a little bit under the weather, so bear with me. I do have a C-band on to keep my nausea down, and that's just because I get nauseous sometimes. My hair is done, but it needs to be redone. Well, it doesn't need to be redone, but it's at the point where it's like I need to get it done, and so I do have another appointment coming up to get a new hairstyle done, so I'm excited about that. So hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to record that because it's like really early in the morning and honestly I might just be over it because that's all she had open. And when I say early, I mean before 8 o'clock appointment. Okay, what was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, so while you guys are looking at this video is a lot of you message me Air Force questions all the time, and I have to say I have not even looked at my DMs in a long time, and so I know I have messages starting at 3 weeks and older. Well, not starting, 3 weeks and 2 more recent, so 3 weeks is the oldest, so that's not too bad because I was doing really good with keeping up in my DMs, but right as soon as I cleared them out, you guys showed me more love in there. And so I haven't been able to go back in there and fully read everything, but I am going to get to those DMs. So just please be patient with me. Okay, so my name is Veronica. You guys know that. I've been in the Air Force for about 4 years now. I just promoted to captain. And so a lot of times when you are in the military, the biggest question that if you haven't got, or maybe you're thinking about joining, is how long do you plan on serving? Do you plan on making the military your career? I'll tell you guys, when I first joined, I never thought I would be a career. Well, I take that back. I knew I would be probably a career airman, which means when I say career airman, I'm meaning I'm going to serve 20 years minimum. Well, probably maximum. But I never, and that the reason is because if you're not familiar, the military, you can retire now at 20 years. They have gone into a new retirement plan where you can actually pay money into it. It's similar to like a civilian job where you contribute money and they match you. And so that way when you leave, let's say you leave at 10 years or 15 years, you're not leaving with nothing. But chances are if you're leaving at 15 or something like that, you're being medically retired, which you would still get your retirement and your benefits and all that stuff, but I think it's just lesser because you wouldn't be at the highest rank maybe. I don't know those full details, but I have met people who have been medically retired at 15, 10, 5 years. So it's a great way. If you are medically retired, more often than not, I've only seen maybe one case where they didn't let that person keep their benefits, and that circumstance was because that person had a lot of stuff going on, and that's all I'll say. But almost everyone who I've seen medically retired, they get to keep their medical benefits, which is huge because you don't have to pay for healthcare and pay to go see a doctor or anything like that. Or if you do, you just have to do a small like $12 copay. They get to keep their rights for the commissary for life, all this stuff. And they may get a small sum of money depending on where they're at in their military career. And so obviously if you're medically retired, you're not choosing to retire, so that's the bummer. You usually have a condition or develop a condition where the military is like, hey, we love you, but you're not medically fit to serve anymore, and we're going to go ahead and let you go. But you still get a percentage of your package. So I don't even know why I'm getting into that. What I really want to get into is, am I going to stay in the military for 20 years? I don't know. When I originally, like I was telling you guys, when I originally came in, I was so gung-ho about, oh yeah, 20 years, easy. This is before I even joined. I was in college. I was doing, my pageant. If you can hear cars zooming by, it's because my filming room is right next to the street, and there's cars that zoom by every day. So sorry. Hopefully you're not being able to hear that too loud. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I plan on doing about 20 years before. This is me just like, I'm going to join the military, become an officer. I'm going to do 20 years, retire. And then I got in and I was like, And it wasn't like it was a turnoff, but my experience when I first came in wasn't the best experience at first. And now that I am no longer at that unit, I will definitely film a video about that. Of course, not gonna name any names, but and everyone has gone that I have worked with there. But I just never thought that I would actually just be a lifer. So when I say career airman or lifer, that just means 20 years plus in the military. So it's funny because my dad gave me the advice. He was like, he did 26 years. If you guys don't know, my dad did 26 years. He was security forces. He was enlisted. He was a chief. He promoted really quickly, really early, fast burner. My mom was enlisted as well. And so my dad was like, I went from flipping burgers to the military, and I was just like, I'm not staying in this crazy place. And then look at him 26 years later. And so that's kind of the mantra that I'm seeming to follow, because, the ideology of from what I've seen from my parents and like, oh, this is going to be great. Oh, it's going to be so easy and fun. I'm going to love it. And just like any job, you're not going to always love certain aspects of the job. And so when I came in, I was like, I'm working really, really hard. And I don't know if I want to work like this for the rest of my life. In fact, I know I don't. And the reason why I'm saying that was I was pouring so much into the job, and I wasn't getting it wasn't a healthy situation for me. And that's my fear with being medical is like, my fear with being medical is this just the pace, or was it just because it was a small facility and they knew I was a hard worker, and so they just chose to assign me all these jobs? And so it was kind of a combination of that my first year. And my first couple years actually were really hard because I had personnel I had to manage. I had personnel issues within my command, as you can say, who were underneath me. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with like 4 or 5 different jobs, including my main job, and then random jobs that the military assigns you, which is your alternate duties. And I think everyone thinks like, oh, you're an officer, you don't have to do much. Not true. And well, those of us who really want to do a good job, it's not true. I've witnessed some the stereotypical officers where they just don't really do much. And those, I don't really, it's crazy because everyone has in their mind, like, when you join the military, it's just going to be this easy job. You're just going to go to work, serve your country, clock in, clock out. And it's just not like that. And I can't really describe it to you until you've lived it yourself, whether you're enlisted, officer, anything like that. So I was pretty pleasantly surprised at how much work I was doing, to the point where when my dad was calling me, I'd still be at work 12 hours later. And, sometimes you do have your long days because there's just so much work. But then I realized I don't think this is a suitable life for me forever. And so knowing that concept, I was like, you know what? From today on, it was early on, I had decided you're going to take this assignment by assignment. And so if I feel drawn, or if, God calls me somewhere else, or Lewis blows up and something goes on with him, then I don't know, I'm going to have to reassess. I can't see myself leaving the military anytime soon for sure. Especially, I'm definitely going to hit the 10-year mark because I believe after 10 years, you're eligible, at least the military member is eligible to receive their benefits for life. So healthcare, commissary, BX, PX, whatever, for life, for the rest of your life. And you get to maintain your ID card. So I'm for sure not cutting out before 10 because for me, it's just not worth it being that close. Because by the time I'm done with the school assignment, I'll have 6 years, and then I'll do another assignment for probably 2 or 3 years, and I'll be right there. So no, I'm not going to cut out. And the one thing though I do want to caution you guys on is whenever someone asks you, and let's say you've joined or you plan on joining, whenever someone asks you how long you're going to stay in, I would just say, I have to take it assignment by assignment if you don't know. The reason being, and it shouldn't be this way, and hopefully things start to churn around, but I understand the flip side. So here's side A. Let's say I go in, I meet my bosses, and they're just casually talking and I don't know why some of them do this, but maybe it's just a conversation. They're trying to get to know you, but you'll have your senior officers who might call you in their office and they're getting to know you, and they ask you, hey, how long do you plan on staying in? And if you say, oh, I just plan on doing my assignment here and then I'm leaving, and you change your mind later, it's going to be tough on you. So I'm never saying to lie, because you shouldn't lie, but unless you are 100% sure, not turning back, you are going to exit out the military, whatever branch you're doing, then you may share that if they ask, so that way you allow others who potentially could get opportunities, you allow them to get those. So for example, I have friends who have separated at my first unit. They were like, nope, this isn't for me, I'm done, but they were 100% sure. And once they were sure, everyone it's weird. It's almost like you're retiring, but not. I don't know how to explain it until you lived it. But when you say you're separating and it's like your first assignment, second assignment, whatever, and you're just like, you know what, I'm done, people treat you like, okay, they're done. And it's hard. I get why they do. A small part of me gets why they do, because when you are working in a military organization that is so reliant on bodies and people and all this stuff, you want the opportunities to go to people who really want to make this a career, who want to grow, who want to soak up all the blue Kool-Aid that they can, drink it with sugar, and they love the flavor. You don't want to waste your time, and I hate to say waste, but you don't want to spend so much time on someone who, hey, you're moving on to your next life. And it's not that that person doesn't matter, but it's just it moves so fast, especially in the medical community, that it's kind of like, thank you. You know what I mean? So when it comes to that question, if you don't know how long you're going to be serving, then a good response is, I'm taking it assignment by assignment. For me, the assignment by assignment means I'm pretty much staying in, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. But right now, a lot of my eggs are in the Air Force basket, and I'm comfortable with that. I like doing what I'm doing. Another tip and advice that I can give is try not to base everything off your first assignment. Some people have great first assignments and they're like, oh my gosh, 18 more years to go, or 17, 16 more years to go. I can do this all day, baby. Woo! And then they go to their next assignment and they're like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Or you could be in a situation similar to mine where my first assignment was stressful, hard-hitting. I got mad exposure. I did a lot of things, got a good amount of awards, and I'm all grateful for that. But do I want to do that, work that hard, and be that stressed out for 17 or 16 more years? No. So I could be like, nope, I'm out. Try not to base things off your first assignment. I always said I would stay in past my first assignment because I need to know Is this the standard? Is this the norm? And if so, then I'm going to talk it over with my spouse and we're going to make a decision for our family. Or is it, are we feeling comfortable with this? Things like that. And I just think that deciding, right here and now that you're going to stay in one job for the next 20 to 25 years is just, with our type of generation, is just inconceivable. Things happen, you get married, you have babies, your priority changes. I met this awesome female officer. She was a rock, like a spitfire. Like, she was amazing. She helped me during my first job. She was one of our advisors. And then all of a sudden she was like, oh, I'm separating. I was like, huh? Don't you have like 15 years in? And she goes, yep. But a CEO that she knew of said, I want you so bad to work for my hospital. I'm going to create a job for you. And it's going to come with a 6-figure salary. He literally created a job for her, gave her an offer she could not refuse, and she chose to leave. And that's why I always try to say, I'm never going to sit there and say, oh, I'm only doing 20 years. Don't talk to me. I'm doing 20 years, and that's why I say I'm never going to be like, oh, I'm only doing 20 years. I'm a lifer. Like, no. Because if God sends me an opportunity and he's like, Veronica, this is what all you have to do if you do this, I'd be like, yeah. Because what you guys don't realize is a healthcare administrator on the outside makes way more money than what I'm making now. And it's not about the money. But do healthcare administrators get hired at my age, with the education level at my age, doing the things I do? It was a tough market where I was at. Usually you'll have your junior execs, or they'll want you to be a little bit more senior, have a little bit more other hospitals under your belt, which I think is just preposterous. So am I actually helping myself? Yeah. By the time if I choose to retire or separate, I'm going to have so much breadth of knowledge, experience. Like, I've touched a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to do on the outside world. And so whoever's going to get me next in the civilian sector is going to be super grateful for that. And I'm definitely going to negotiate my contract because I know I've earned it. And so that's why I think that every single stepping stone that you do is a preparation stepping stone for the next part of your career. Whether you serve 3 years, 4 years, and 25 years, to me it doesn't matter. If you came in, you did your stuff, and you're like, you know what, I came in, now I'm going to go to school for free and I'm going to move on with my life, then that's great. Like, thank you so much. And I don't think you should be penalized for that. But so many people feel scared to, to join or to do anything because, going into it, they're like, okay, I'm only going to serve 3 years. But you can have breaks in service. So let's say you serve, you separate, and you're like, this isn't for me right now. Then maybe you come in back as guard or reserve, where you're doing it more part-time, and less full-time, as active duty is so demanding and you're not moving as much. That's allowed too. There's so much complexities and flexibilities that the military offers that a lot of people have this one-track mind that active duty is only it. And I used to think like that too. Like, okay, I'm only going to be active duty in my entire life. I can't say that for sure. I don't know what the future holds for me. I'm going to try and remain open because, I don't want God to send me my blessing and I'm so focused on, well, this is stable, it's comfortable, I'm used to it, that I miss a huge, probably bigger and better opportunity that He has for me. So that's my advice on that. Another tip that I wanted to give you guys is going back to try to do more than one assignment. If you really have your heart set on you're only going to do one assignment and this is it for you and you're good, then be good. That's fine, but just really, I cannot stress this enough. Try and do 2 assignments. Think of me when you're going through a rough assignment, a tough assignment, or you're nervous about your next assignment, and just make sure that, now depending on the contracts that you've signed with the military, you may owe 6 years, so you have to do 2 assignments anyway. But most of us do three or 4 year contracts when you're an officer MSc. And so after 3 years, which is your first assignment, you're pretty much, you can separate at any time. And so those are the types of positions where you want to be, so you have that flexibility. But don't wake up one day and say, I'm separating. Make sure you're planning, you're saving, you understand that, hey, if I don't have health care, what is my health care insurance payments going to look like? You know, where am I going to get seen? Because that's a huge, medical is a very, very big cost. And that's one of the best benefits of the military is we don't have to pay for anything. And if we do, it's very, very little. Yeah. So there's just, I wanted to give you guys that advice on having a career in the military. You know, take it assignment by assignment, try the best you can. Try to make the most of your assignments. When you have a horrible assignment, try and find friends or someone who lives in that area that you can talk to, military, not military, because it makes it go by fast. And definitely my core group that I found, both halves of my assignment in Montana made the assignment go by like this, and I was so happy to be out of there. Plus, Montana's just not for me. It's not a bad state. It's just the hiking, the cold, like, that's not for me. So it's just nice to be in the city again, but the city has its drawbacks too, which I'm reacquainting myself with, but yeah. And then the last thing that I wanted to wrap up this video and say is just ensure that you are always preparing for the next level. One day, all of us, 100% of the military force, we will have to all separate or retire. We're not allowed to stay in the military forever. Once you reach a certain age, they basically are like, okay, that's enough, thank you. And it varies for every different type of career field you're in. But I can't be an MSc until I'm like 65. It's just not possible for me to serve that long, and nor do I want to. That's a long time. So at some point, you have to realize that the military, we retire at such a young age, like in our 40s, early 40s, most of us, that what's next? You know, what am I going to do next? What job am I going to do? And of course, you can start preparing for that on the latter half of your career. Like, let's say you're doing 20, maybe start at the 10-year mark. Okay, in 10 years, this is what I want us to have saved up. This is where I want to be. This is where our house is going to be, like stuff like that. But because if you choose to like separate early, those same things you still need to be thinking about even earlier. It's never too early or too late. Sometimes it's too late, but it's never too early to start planning for the next phase. And I know once I hit the 10-year mark, Lewis and I have talked about it a little bit, and I know I have like a full planner in my mind, but once I hit 10 years, I'm going to start assessing what job do I want to have? Where do I want to live? You know, because I want to plan things and make sure I'm stationed at certain points in my life around certain areas so I can just make that transition even easier. But yeah, so that's all I have on military career life and my advice on that. So overall, if you don't get anything, get this one statement is, if you plan on separating and not retiring, make sure you are 100% sure before you go saying it to your boss. It's not because, hey, I need to hide things, I don't want them to know. That's not how you should go into it. You never want to give someone information unless you're pretty much on that block. So if I'm having conversations and it's like I'm 90% sure, I'm probably going to let my boss know, hey, I'm thinking about separating and I'm 90% sure, but I'm not sure. Some bosses are going to be great, and I hope to be this way, where they're like, you know what? If this is for you, then yeah, let's talk about how we're going to get you transitioned and how to set you up nicely, who you can connect to. And then some bosses are kind of like, okay, that's cool, and then they focus on people who are still staying in. Try not to take it personal. It's hard when you have people in front of you who really want to be groomed, and then you have other people who rather leave, you know, so who are you going to devote your time to? So it's kind of tough. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more military videos, thumbs up for me, and also comment down below what type of military videos you want to see. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. Hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!